by Lake Charles Memorial Health System, covering the news for Southwest Louisiana. This is 7 News First at 4.
Thanks for joining us on this First Alert Weather Day. I'm Jillian Corder here with Chief Meteorologist Wade Hampton. And Wade, you and your First Alert weather team have been tracking the system all day.
Yes.
How much rain did we see?
Well, so far, it depends on where you're talking about, but the heaviest rain across south of I-10, 4 to 8 inches of rain. And I will fully admit, yesterday, yes, I told you there was a good chance for rain in the forecast, but it never looked like it was going to be anything this severe. And here's a look at what it looks like on the radar. Again, this is an estimate, but notice this, what I would call hot spot, where we see orange, yellows, and magenta colorations. That's where radar indicates 8 to maybe 10 inches of rain fell in some localized spots. Zoom in a little closer and put some more numbers here on the map, and you can see across the very eastern portions of Calcasieu Parish down to around the Grand Lake vicinity, all in this category of 5 to 10 inches of rain fell. This includes Lake Arthur. Our weather watcher Teresa Lyons had 9 inches of rain at her house this morning, and I've had a couple of other reports in the same sort of category. Closer to Lake Charles, yes, we had rain, but thankfully not that bad. But of course, 4 to 6 inches of rain was still enough to cause the street flooding that we're going to tell you about in a moment. Right now on radar, things are much quieter, at least for now. And thankfully, here's a look at Beauregard, or Jeff Davis, Cameron, and Calcasieu parishes. I don't see much rain showing up here at the moment. A few showers over in Jeff Davis Parish. There is a little bit more rain going on towards our north. And here's a look at Futurecast, which does still show the possibility of some additional thunderstorms popping up late this afternoon into early this evening as a cold front moves into southwest Louisiana. We will get a break from the rain tomorrow, but it's going to be short-lived as rain chances ramp up again into Sunday. And I'll have more on that coming up in just a couple of minutes. Jillian?
And flooding across southwest Louisiana today. We've got reporters across the area, but we start just off Nelson Road on South Tallowood Drive, where water was above the knee at some places and homes took on water. KPLC's Hannah Treese joins us live. And Hannah, what's it looking like there now?
Well, Jillian, thankfully the water has gone down significantly on these roads, so the homeowners are beginning to start the process of drying out their homes. You can see behind me there's a lot of furniture and other household items that were just destroyed by the flooding today. Now, I did speak to some of those homeowners earlier, and they're telling me they're just hoping that the worst is over so they can begin the process of assessing the damage and figuring out what their next steps are. For many people living along South Tallowood Drive in Lake Charles, it seemed like the rain would never end.
It was horrible. It was really horrible.
Basile has been living in the lake area for 3 years, and he says he's never seen anything quite like this.
I have seen the flooding and everything, but my house is like flooded. This is my first time.
He spent hours throughout the day trying to get all of the water out, but many of his belongings still soaked through.
I'm so tired. Like I've been cleaning all day, all morning, and the water is still there.
And it's the same story for his neighbor, Roberto Solis.
I walk in my house and it's flooded. And there's up to my shins in water, and it was not a good sight.
He says everything from furniture to clothes and important papers ruined. Like Basile, he says it was unlike anything he's ever experienced while living here.
It's very shocking. Like, I didn't think it to get this bad, and I just hope this is the worst it's going to get.
But even if this is the worst, he says it's still going to be a long recovery process.
For right now, we're just going to have to pack our bags. We got clothes, all the emergencies. We got canned food. We're going to go get a hotel for the night and talk to the insurance people tomorrow.
And Solis says even if you didn't experience this flooding, it's something everyone should always be prepared for.
Don't take this lightly. It didn't happen to anybody.
Now, thankfully, the worst does seem to be over, but as always, you can stay up to date on all of the weather moving throughout our area, on air and online. Live in Lake Charles, Hannah Treese, KPLC 7 News.
And in South Lake Charles from Bond Meadow Lane, you could see Calvary Baptist Church where the parking lot was filled with water. No word if any of that water made it inside the church. Residents nearby say high water has become the new norm for them. And a similar scene in the central part of Lake Charles. Here's video from around midday near the intersection of Enterprise and 12th Street. A number of cars were pulled over in fear of stalling out in the high water. It's never a bad idea to wait until that water has receded, not just because of damage to vehicles, but to homes as well.
These people going through this water, they're going full speed. They see the water is high, want them to slow down. Especially there's been a car up here.
Right.
That guy seen with park up here is low right here. This area. I was trying to make it through before the rain got in the area, but road was blocked.
And a familiar scene on Common Street, an area that often floods with these heavy rains. Over in Westlake, vehicles splashed through Old Spanish Trail all morning. We're told crews from the Calcasieu Public Works Department put up barriers on some of those roads to warn drivers of the high water. And we're at your service with word of an emergency road closure. Corbina Road, a mile south of Highway 14, is closed after high water has washed out a cross pipe. Again, Corbina Road south of Highway 14 is closed in both directions until that road can be repaired. And of course, you can always keep up with the forecast and any road closures on KPLCTV.com. And be sure to download the free KPLC 7 Storm Team app. Remember to turn on those weather alerts to get immediate notifications about severe weather in your area. Now to a continued school closure we need to tell you about that is not related to the weather. Earlier today, the Calcasieu Parish School Board announced a water main issue at Frash Elementary, closing the school for today. Now we're told school will be out again tomorrow for cleanup as that water entered different areas of the school. Frash Elementary will be back in session Monday. 51 years ago today, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated. He was shot at 6:01 p.m. while standing on the balcony of the Lorraine Motel in Memphis. Memorials are being held there today to honor the civil rights leader. And every year there's a moment of silence at exactly 6:01. The Lorraine Motel has been memorialized in his home to the National Civil Rights Museum. His colleagues, Reverend James Lawson and Reverend Jesse Jackson, will participate in events happening in Memphis today. And today, some members of Special Counsel Robert Mueller's team are not happy with Attorney General William Barr's 4-page summary of Mueller's report. It's prompting a response from the Justice Department and setting off a new war of words between President Trump and Democrats. As Blaine Alexander reports, House Democrats are mounting a new push to see the president's tax returns.
A U.S. official tells NBC News some members of Special Counsel Robert Mueller's team are frustrated that President Trump's Attorney General William Barr, in his 4-page summary, cleared President Trump of obstruction of justice, even though Mueller reached no conclusion on the subject. And Mueller's team members say the evidence that President Trump tried to disrupt the investigation is stronger than Barr suggested.
Look, I have full confidence in the Attorney General and his assessment.
The Justice Department says Barr had no choice but to reach a conclusion on obstruction because rules say he is ultimately in charge of the Russia investigation. All of it adding fuel to fiery Democrats.
Aye.
Mr. Stanton votes aye.
A day after a House committee vote authorizing subpoenas for Mueller's full, unredacted report.
We fought hard to protect Bob Mueller's investigation, and we're going to fight hard to make sure that the results of that investigation are not buried by the president's handpicked attorney general.
President Trump today tweeting, "Nothing we can ever give to the Democrats will make them happy," calling it presidential harassment. Barr has promised to release a redacted version this month and testify before Congress. Meanwhile, House Democrats also digging in on a familiar topic, President Trump's tax returns, formally filing a request with the Treasury Department for 6 years' worth of the president's tax returns, dating back to 2013.
We're under audit, despite what people said, but until such time as I'm not under audit, I would not be inclined to do that.
From one of the president's closest allies,
if you're running for president in 2020, to release your tax returns,
saying it would be good for the country. Blaine Alexander, NBC News, Washington.
And back to the Mueller report, the Justice Department said today Barr was not trying to summarize Mueller's nearly 400-page report, just release the bottom line findings quickly, knowing the report itself would be made public once redacted. Breaking news this afternoon, a decision today from a grand jury in the officer-involved shooting death of Justin Landry. Grand jury met in regular session regarding the shooting death of Justin Landry on January 11th. Grand jury was presented with 3 potential charges, and a no true bill was found in all 3 counts. Landry was shot and killed by an officer on January 11th earlier this year. This exonerates the subject of the investigation, effectively concluding the criminal prosecution in the case. Our 7 Storm Team continues to track weather through the area in Wade Hampton. We'll have another look at your full forecast coming up.